February 3rd, 1889. A scream cuts through the frozen Pennsylvania night. Sarah Mitchell is 9 months pregnant and clutching her stomach in a farmhouse bedroom. There's no hospital within 20 miles, no doctor available. Just her husband holding a candle with shaking hands. The midwife hasn't arrived. She's 3 miles away, walking through complete darkness. The candle flickers, goes out. Henry fumbles in his pocket. 4 matches left for the entire night. His hands shake so badly that when he strikes the first match, it breaks. 3 left. In the corner of the room, their 4-year-old daughter Emma is crying because she can't see her mother and doesn't understand why everyone is screaming in the darkness. This isn't some rare tragedy. This is just Tuesday night in America before electricity. But this story begins earlier that day, with a different family having breakfast together. By sunset, none of them would be alive. The morning from hell, December 16th, 1875, a small farm outside Columbus, Ohio. The clock reads 4 a.m., but nobody can see it because it's completely dark inside the house. Robert Carson has been awake for exactly 30 seconds, and he's already bleeding. Last night before bed, he left his work boots too close to the bed frame. This morning, walking blind in pitch darkness, he stepped directly on the metal lace hooks. Blood is now soaking through his wool sock, warm and sticky. He can't see the blood, can't see his hand when he holds it 2 inches from his face. This is normal. He shuffles carefully toward where he thinks the bedroom door is, arms outstretched like a blind man. 17 steps from bed to kitchen door. He's counted them every single morning for 8 years, because if you don't count, you walk into walls and break your nose. Finally, reaching the kitchen, he kneels in front of the fireplace and fumbles around on the floor for the kindling he prepared last night. His hands find the splintered wood. He's done this so many times that he has permanent scars crisscrossing both palms from splinters that got infected. He strikes a match, and the tiny flame illuminates about 3 feet of space. That's when the smell hits him hard enough to make him gag. The chamber pot sitting in the corner of the kitchen hasn't been emptied since yesterday morning because you physically cannot see to carry a pot full of human waste in total darkness without spilling it everywhere. So it sits there all night, every night, in every home in America. The match dies after 20 seconds. He lights the kindling and gets a small fire going. Now comes the part he's been dreading. Robert walks outside into 19-degree weather. The well is frozen solid. Again, it freezes every single night from November through March. He picks up the iron rod that he keeps next to the door specifically for this purpose and starts hammering the ice covering the well in complete darkness. The sun won't rise for another 2 hours. The only sound is metal hitting ice, echoing across the frozen field. Somewhere in the distance, he can hear his neighbor doing the exact same thing. 15 minutes of hammering with numb hands in the freezing dark. The ice finally breaks. He drops the wooden bucket 20 feet down, pulls it back up hand over hand. 20 pounds of ice-cold water that makes his hands burn. He turns to carry it inside, slips on a patch of ice he couldn't see, and half the water spills across the frozen ground. He has to go back and do it again. By the time he's hauled enough water for his family's morning needs, his hands are completely destroyed. Blisters forming on top of calluses, forming on top of old scars that never fully healed. Robert Carson is 32 years old. His hands look like they belong to a man of 60. The breakfast nightmare. Back inside at 5:15 a.m., still completely dark outside. His wife Mary is awake now, and she's somehow managing to do 5 different things at the same time. She's keeping the fire alive because if it dies, they have to start the entire process over from scratch. She's physically blocking their 2-year-old son from crawling toward the fireplace because last year the neighbor's kid got too close and burned half his face off. She's trying to cook oatmeal in a cast iron pot while holding a candle in her other hand. And she's carefully rationing their candles because they have exactly 9 left for the entire week. Mary is sweating from the fire's heat while simultaneously freezing from the cold draft coming through windows that don't seal properly.
they can't afford to fix them. The oatmeal burns black on the side facing the fire and stays completely raw on the other side because the heat distribution is terrible. This happens every single morning. They eat it anyway because food costs money and you don't waste food. Here's the economics. A pound of oats costs 8 cents. A single candle costs 12 cents. Robert's weekly salary from the lumber mill is $4.50. They're literally spending more money on light than they are on food. The children's hell. It's 6:30 a.m. and the sun is finally starting to rise. Their 11-year-old son Thomas can finally see without a candle. But there's no school today because it's Saturday, which means Thomas goes to work at the textile factory 5 miles away. He walks the entire distance in snow, wearing boots that are 2 sizes too small because the family can't afford new ones. He arrives at the factory by 7 a.m. and works until 7 p.m. 12-hour shift, age 11, every Saturday. His specific job is threading needles for the adult workers who operate the sewing machines. The factory is lit by gas lamps that produce dim, yellowish, constantly flickering light that make your eyes hurt after a few hours. By the time Thomas turns 14, he'll need eyeglasses. By 18, he'll be nearly blind in his left eye from years of close-up work in terrible lighting. This isn't considered child abuse by 1875 standards. This is called helping your family survive. This is normal. The wife's invisible torture. While Thomas is at the factory, Mary begins the weekly laundry. Here's the complete process. First, haul 40 gallons of water from the well, which requires 8 separate trips. Second, heat all that water over the fire, which takes 2 full hours. Third, hand scrub every single item of clothing for the family, which takes 3 hours. Fourth, wring out each piece manually with her bare hands until the water stops dripping. Total time invested, 7 hours. For 1 load of laundry. She does this twice every week. The rest of her day includes cooking everything from scratch, which takes 3 hours, cleaning the house, which means sweeping up ash and scrubbing soot for 2 hours, constant childcare, sewing repairs on clothes because they can't afford to buy new ones, and preserving food through canning, salting, or smoking. Her hands start bleeding by Tuesday of every single week. She is 28 years old. She looks 50. The scope of suffering. But here's what Robert and Mary don't know while they're struggling through their morning routine. In New York City, right at this very moment, 100,000 horses are defecating in the streets. Every single day. The smell is so overpowering that wealthy women faint while walking to church and have to carry perfumed handkerchiefs just to go outside. In Chicago last night, 14 people froze to death inside their own homes with their families sleeping right next to their bodies because heating a house through the night required someone to wake up every 2 hours to add wood to the fire. And if you slept through it, you died. In Boston right now, a surgeon is preparing to perform an emergency amputation, but he has to wait until 11 a.m. when there's enough sunlight coming through the windows because surgery after dark is literally impossible. The patient has been waiting since yesterday evening while the infection spreads through his leg. He'll die anyway. 40% of all children born in America this year will be dead before their 5th birthday. The causes include contaminated water that you can't see is contaminated, spoiled food because there's no refrigeration, house fires from candles tipping over, freezing to death from inadequate heating, and infections from surgeries performed at candlelight. This isn't ancient history. This is 1875. This is 150 years ago. Your great-great-grandmother lived through this exact reality. The sleep pattern that broke human brains. Here's something that's going to mess with your head. Before electricity existed, human beings didn't sleep the way we sleep now. They slept in 2 completely separate shifts, and scientists discovered this by reading medieval court documents, personal diaries from the 1600s and 1700s, and prayer books that referenced it constantly. This sleep pattern was universal across every culture. First sleep happened from about 8 p.m. to midnight. Then you woke up, completely awake, for 1 to 3 hours, in complete darkness. What did people do during this middle-of-the-night waking period? They prayed, they reflected on their dreams, they had sex, they talked quietly with family members, they lay in bed and thought about death and mortality, because what else are you going to do in complete darkness? Then came second sleep, from about 2 a.m. until dawn. This wasn't insomnia, this wasn't a sleep disorder, this was normal human sleep for thousands of years. Electricity didn't just change what time we go to bed, it fundamentally rewired how our brains process consciousness and sleep cycles. We literally cannot sleep naturally anymore. The midnight terrors. Here's what happened during those dark hours between sunset and sunrise. Crime exploded. There were no streetlights anywhere, no porch lights, no lights inside homes after people went to bed because candles were too expensive to burn all night. Just complete and total darkness. An 1877 police report from London stated, "Patrol is completely ineffective after 9 p.m. due to inability to identify suspects or pursue criminals in darkness." In New York City, women received direct orders, not suggestions, but orders, to never leave their homes after sunset under any circumstances. Rape, robbery, and murder rates tripled after dark, not because there were suddenly more criminals at night, but because darkness gave them complete invisibility. You could be robbed on a city street and never see your attacker's face. Jack the Ripper only killed at night for obvious reasons. The economics of darkness. December 1878, Manhattan. A factory owner named Theodore Steinway is having a complete mental breakdown. His piano factory is the most technologically advanced in America. State-of-the-art machinery, highly skilled German craftsmen, premium materials, and every single day at 5 p.m., the entire operation stops completely. Why? Because nobody can see. He tried installing gas lamps throughout the factory. 3 workers died in fires within the first month. He tried using more candles. The melted wax dripped into the machinery and gummed up all the moving parts. He tried forcing longer shifts before sunset. The workers revolted because they had families and farms and other work. Theodore Steinway is losing 12 hours of potential productivity every single day, and so is every other factory owner in America and Europe. Economists later calculated that the pre-electricity economy was operating at roughly 45% efficiency. Not because workers were lazy or incompetent, but because the sun set and work became physically impossible. Imagine trying to run a business that must completely shut down for half of every 24-hour period. Not by choice or by law, but by the basic physics of darkness. The class divide. Here's the part that makes it even worse. Rich people had it slightly better. A wealthy mansion in New York City in 1880 would have gas lamps installed, which were expensive but much better than candles. They could afford to burn dozens of candles at once. They had servants whose entire job was maintaining fires 24 hours a day. They had ice shipped from frozen northern lakes for early refrigeration. But here's the catch. Gas lamps required gas lines running to your house, and those gas lines only existed in wealthy neighborhoods. The servants working those overnight shifts still had to suffer. And that ice? It was cut from frozen rivers by workers in total darkness, and people died doing that job every single week. Every minor convenience for the rich required invisible suffering from the poor. Meanwhile, in the 5 Points neighborhood of Manhattan, where Irish immigrants lived, there was no gas, no candles because they were too expensive, no ice, nothing. Families of 8 people living in a single room. Complete darkness from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. The infant mortality rate in 5 Points was 61%. 6 blocks away on Fifth Avenue, the infant mortality rate was 12%. Same city, same year, completely different centuries. The breaking point. By 1879, America was exploding with factories, railroads, telegraphs. All of it stopped at sunset. Business leaders tried everything. All failed. The bottleneck wasn't labor or capital, it was light. Whoever solved artificial light would control civilization's future. Two men thought they had the answer. One was a ruthless businessman who saw dollar signs. The other was a genius who saw equations nobody else understood. One would die wealthy and famous. The other would die alone, bankrupt, feeding pigeons. But first, they had to destroy each other. And what happened next was so brutal, so disturbing, it's hard to believe it happened in America.
The wizard arrives. Thomas Edison was already famous in 1878. The phonograph made him a celebrity. Newspapers called him the Wizard of Menlo Park. He knew how to work the press better than anyone in America. September 1878, Edison announced to the New York Times that he'd invented the electric light bulb. Investors went crazy. Money poured in. There was just one problem. He hadn't actually invented it yet. He just announced it to raise money. Now he had to make it work. Edison tested over 3,000 different materials: bamboo, fishing line, human hair, carbonized thread. Most burned out in seconds. His lab looked like a madhouse, failed experiments everywhere. October 21, 1879, carbonized bamboo filament. He flipped the switch. It glowed and stayed glowing. 13 and a half hours of continuous light. Edison had done it. The fatal flaw, September 4, 1882. Pearl Street Station, New York City. Edison flipped the switch on America's first power grid. 400 light bulbs illuminated 1 square mile of Manhattan. Crowds gathered in the streets, silent, stunned. For the first time in human history, night became day. The New York Times wrote, "It was like riding by daylight, but the light was whiter and steadier." Within 1 week, every wealthy business owner in Manhattan wanted electricity. But Edison had a secret problem he didn't advertise. His DC system could only transmit electricity 1 mile from the power station. 1 mile maximum. To electrify all of Manhattan, you'd need a power plant every single mile. The cost would be insane. So electricity went to rich neighborhoods first. Wall Street was fully lit. 5 Points, the poor immigrant neighborhood 5 blocks away, stayed in complete darkness. Same city, 2 different worlds. Edison didn't care. He was getting filthy rich. His company was valued at millions. Then, a letter arrived from a Serbian immigrant asking for a job. Edison hired him. Biggest mistake of his life. The genius arrives. Nikola Tesla stepped off the boat in New York in 1884 with 4 cents in his pocket and a letter of recommendation from his previous employer. Tesla was different, probably autistic, definitely obsessive. He could visualize entire machines in his head, rotate them, test them, perfect them, without building anything physical. Edison recognized Tesla's brilliance immediately and decided to use it. Edison told Tesla, "My DC generators are inefficient. Fix them, make them better. I'll pay you $50,000 when you're done." $50,000 in 1884 was generational wealth. Tesla could retire for life. Tesla worked for months, barely slept, redesigned the entire system. The generators worked perfectly. Efficiency doubled. Tesla walked into Edison's office. "I've completed the work. The $50,000? Edison laughed out loud. "Tesla, you don't understand American humor." He refused to pay. Not 1 cent. Tesla quit the next day. Started working on his own system, and what he invented was about to make Edison's entire business obsolete. Tesla's alternating current system was better, not slightly better. Mathematically, objectively, undeniably superior. AC could transmit electricity hundreds of miles. DC could go 1 mile. One AC power plant could electrify an entire city. DC needed dozens of plants. AC was cheaper, more efficient, more practical in every measurable way. Edison knew this. He'd seen the numbers, and it terrified him. Because Edison had already built his entire empire on DC. He'd sold DC systems to cities across America. Investors had poured millions into DC infrastructure. Patents, power plants, distribution networks, everything. If AC won, Edison would lose everything.
So he made a decision. If he couldn't win on technology, he'd win on fear. He launched a propaganda campaign so dark, so twisted, that over a century later people still can't believe it actually happened. Edison hired a team to travel across America giving educational demonstrations about the dangers of alternating current. The demonstrations involved electrocuting dogs in front of audiences. They'd bring a stray dog on stage, attach electrodes, and run alternating current through it. The dog would convulse, foam at the mouth, and die in front of families and children. Edison's team would say, "This is what Tesla's electricity does. It kills. Direct current is safe. Alternating current is deadly." Technically, DC would have killed the dogs just as easily. Edison knew this. He didn't care about truth. He cared about winning. But dogs weren't enough. Edison needed something bigger. January 4th, 1903, Coney Island, New York. An elephant named Topsy had killed 3 handlers over several years. One handler tried to feed her a lit cigarette. She killed him. The park owners decided Topsy had to die. They planned to hang her publicly as a spectacle. Edison had a better idea for publicity. Electrocute her with alternating current, film it, show everyone how dangerous Tesla's system is. 1,500 people gathered to watch. Edison's crew attached copper electrodes to Topsy's feet, 6,000 volts of AC electricity. Topsy died in 10 seconds. Smoke rose from her feet. The smell of burned flesh filled the air. Edison filmed everything, distributed the footage to newspapers across America with the caption, "Electrocuted by Westinghouse current." Westinghouse was funding Tesla's AC system. The propaganda worked. People became genuinely afraid of AC electricity. But Edison wasn't done. He needed one more demonstration on a human. Edison secretly funded the development of the electric chair for executing prisoners, using AC current, specifically designed to associate AC with death. August 6, 1890, Auburn Prison, New York. William Kemmler became the first person executed by electric chair. It was supposed to be quick and humane. It was a horror show. The first jolt didn't kill him. It paralyzed him while he remained conscious. Witnesses heard him gasping for air. The executioner panicked and hit him with a second, stronger jolt. Kemmler's body temperature rose so high that his blood vessels burst. The smell of burned flesh filled the execution chamber. Several witnesses vomited. One fainted. The whole execution took 8 minutes of agony. A reporter wrote, "They could have done a better job with an axe." But Edison called it a success. Newspapers ran headlines, "Man Westinghoused to death." The public increasingly feared AC. Tesla was losing the war. Then, everything changed because of a waterfall. Niagara Falls, the most powerful waterfall in North America. Energy companies wanted to harness it and transmit power to Buffalo, New York, 25 miles away. The contract would prove which system was superior. Whoever won Niagara won the future. Edison lobbied Congress, showed films of electrocuted animals, testified about AC's dangers, used every connection he had. Tesla said nothing, just submitted his technical designs. November 16, 1996, Tesla's AC system went live at Niagara Falls. It successfully powered Buffalo 25 miles away. Completely impossible with DC. Edison had lost. The war was over. AC would power the world. Within 10 years, Edison lost control of his own company. It merged with competitors and became General Electric, which ironically switched entirely to AC. Tesla had won. The story should end here, right? Genius defeats corrupt businessman. Justice prevails. Except, that's not what happened.
Here's what nobody talks about. The Edison versus Tesla war was a distraction from the real story. This isn't about who invented the light bulb. It's about what happened to America when the sun stopped setting. When electricity spread across the country, it didn't just bring light, it rewired human existence completely. Before electricity, life stopped at sunset. After electricity, life never stopped. Factories started running 24 hours a day. Night shifts were invented.
Workers were now expected to work while their bodies screamed for sleep. Entertainment became nocturnal. Theaters, restaurants, bars stayed open past midnight. Cities that used to go silent at 8 p.m. now roared until dawn. Sleep became optional. Productivity became everything. We gained light. We lost something else, something we still haven't gotten back. The transformation. 1890, 5% of American homes had electricity. 1920, 35%. 1950, 95%. In 60 years, America went from candlelight to total illumination. What changed? Work changed. Factories ran all night. GDP skyrocketed. But workers' health collapsed. Circadian rhythms destroyed forever. Food changed. Refrigerators meant food waste dropped 60%. Lifespan increased, but local food culture died. Supermarkets replaced farms. Home life changed. Electric stoves, washing machines, vacuum cleaners. Women's unpaid labor dropped from 60 hours a week to 20. This actually enabled the women's rights movement. Time freedom created social freedom. But families stopped eating together. Everyone scattered to different rooms. Entertainment changed. Radio, movies, television. Mass culture was born. But families stopped talking, started watching. Health changed. Surgery survival rates skyrocketed. X-rays saved millions. Lifespan doubled from 38 to 78. But new diseases emerged. Sleep disorders, obesity from 24-hour food access, light pollution destroying natural rhythms. Every advancement came with a hidden cost. 90% of urban America has electricity. 10% of rural America has electricity. Farmers were still living like it's 1850. President Roosevelt's Rural Electrification Act declared electricity a necessity, not a luxury. The government funded massive projects to wire rural America. Texas, 1938. A 58-year-old farmer's wife got electricity for the first time in her life. A reporter asked her to describe the moment. She couldn't speak. She just cried. Later she said, "I spent 40 years pumping water by hand, washing clothes until my hands bled, cooking over wood fires in 110-degree heat, and in one day, all of it ended." Her daughter told the reporter, "My mother's hands looked 70 years old. She was 58. These people are the forgotten Americans, the last generation to live in both worlds, the final humans to remember true darkness. But here's what we don't discuss. Electricity required coal plants. Air pollution began. Black lung disease killed hundreds of thousands of miners. Light pollution meant Americans lost the stars. Our grandparents saw the Milky Way clearly every night from their backyards. We never will. Natural sleep patterns were destroyed. Sleep disorders exploded into an epidemic. Insomnia became normal. 24-hour society created 24-hour anxiety. Always available, always reachable, never truly off. We gained convenience. We lost peace, rhythm, connection to nature, connection to each other.